Good job. Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to The Correct Views. Semi-B to Gangi reporting for the Media Speaks, and Christelle is working on something that she's doing downstairs, which is cool, as we carry on up here. Friends, longtime listeners know that The Correct Views is a commentary show, unlike others. Because, see, people are under the impression that what I'm doing here is somehow, as I adjust my height, is somehow a matter of my opinion. Let me tell you, it is not a matter of my opinion. The Correct Views is called The Correct Views because what I give to you are facts. Sometimes I give you those facts in the form of commentary. And that's going to happen this time. If you don't want commentary, then scan ahead 10 minutes, and I promise you there'll be the regular news that you're hearing from everybody else, and I'll give you our take on it. But I want to point something out that I noticed while on a recent snowboarding trip. I was lucky enough to be able to go to New York, to Holiday Valley. For those of you that are into snowboarding, it's a really cool resort. After the resort closed, we needed something to do. So we went to a place called Billy's. Free shout out here. B-Y-L-L-Y-E-S. Worst spelling ever. Coolest place ever. Billy's. To go do some bowling. Something to do after we were done snowboarding. Well, when we went there, they were playing like garden variety flavor of the week. That is to say, terrible top 40 music. The talentless Katy Perry, the talentless Drake, Big Sean, everything without any talent that you've ever heard in your life. Kesha, you can't get worse than that. Everybody in the bowling alley looked miserable because everybody in the bowling alley hated it. Well, at midnight, they started this global thing, and they took requests. I have never seen so many people, white, black, old, young, really young, like 9, really old, like 7. I've never seen so many people zip to the counter, and I was under the impression that they were going to request more mind rot, like Nicki Minaj or something. Guess what? They didn't really request Nicki garbage. They started requesting everything that wasn't hip-hop. So by the end of the night, to play the requests, Slayer, War Ensemble, Five Finger Death Punch, Avenged Sevenfold, 9 Inch Nails. They did play a little bit of the Party in the USA BS, but it wasn't the main course like it was prior. So let me ask you something here. And there's a point to all of this. Why were they playing garbage like Rihanna that made everyone miserable? Why? Because the big media are forcing this music down our throats. And I can prove it. I can prove that it is not a matter of opinion. I can prove that it is a fact that you are listening to The Correct Views, who gives you the correct views in the following way. And the first person that says it's a matter of someone's age, I will smack you in the face. I don't care how old you are. If you were a big music fan in the 90s, the standout musicians were Zach De La Roca. But by standout musicians, I mean, in order to qualify, must be on the charts, must be at least known to people. In the 90s, Dimebag Darrell. Again, musicians, not singers or producers. Dimebag. You had Alice in Chains. What's his name? His name just went right out of my head, but you know who I mean. Not Lane Staley. The one that's still in it. My head just went out on me. Musicians that everybody knew. You could argue Robin Fink with 9 Inch Nails. Everybody knew who Robin Fink was. He was in Guns N' Roses, for crying out loud. Buckethead. You want to go to the 80s? Van Halen, Randy Rhoads. Want to go to the 70s? Ted Nugent. Want to go to the 60s? You see where I'm going? And while they may not have liked it, the children of the 50s knew who Glenn Miller was, even though they were dancing to Elvis. The people in the 70s who were listening to the Doors knew who Elvis was. People in the 70s listening to punk knew who the Doors were. People in the 80s jamming out to Randy Rhoads knew who Led Zeppelin was. All right, let me ask you a question. Name me one musician who has come out in the last 5 years that you know their name. Don't give me Beyonce, who's Beyonce's bassist. Don't give me Skrillex. I love Skrillex. Guess what? He's an amazing producer. He is not a musician. Yes, I like him. No, he's not a musician. There isn't any. What, you think I'm making it up? It's a matter of Sam's opinion. Okay, Taylor Swift, not a musician. Drake, absolutely unlistenable and not a musician. Ed Sheeran, nope. Maroon 5. Do you mean to tell me that Maroon 5 has a modern version of anyone, any musician that you can name in Maroon 5? Huh? No, you can't. Kelly Clarkson, needless to say, talentless. Sam Smith, doesn't matter if you like him, not a musician. Ellie Goulding, singer. Big Sean, utterly talentless, not a musician to be found. Number 9, Mark Ronson. 10, Nicki Minaj. There are no musicians in the last 5 years who has made it on the basis of being a musician. Do you understand that? Do you understand that this has never before happened in American history, that there has not been a leading musician? This is also the first time in American history that the newest generation doesn't have its own sound. R&B and hip hop have been around for 100 years now. You know what I mean? Nothing new there. Don't give me dubstep. You know what? I like dubstep too. Want to count dubstep? Great. That came from England, not America. America has stopped creating musicians, and America has stopped creating new music genres. Why does that matter? Why is that such a big deal? I can tell you why it's a big deal. Because when a country loses its art, art is a reflection of the soul of the country. It is a bad, bad sign when you see this kind of thing happen. That's all I can say. It is a very, very bad sign. Again, what the Black Keys? The Black Keys, while they're good, are not a great we have no great new musicians. Now, you can argue that there are bands like Animals as Leaders, which have some of the most amazing musicians you've ever heard, but they are not on the radio. So they don't count as what I'm talking about. There's a million great musicians in the underground. I'm in a band that has 6 of them, 5 of them. But the trouble is, these bands don't get anywhere because we have no new musicians at the top of the charts in the country. It's just a microcosm, a small bit of a big picture. And I haven't known anyone else at all who has noticed this. Sit back and think about it, because it's one more sign, one more pointer at the doomsday direction that our country is headed in. And remember, you notice this observation first because of the correct views. Friends, this is from Michael Snyder, The Economic Collapse. And I want to go to the important parts of this, because the name of the article, Greece Rejects Bailout Deal, Deadline to Avoid Financial Chaos in Europe is First. Here's what's happening. They are going to stop the people in Greece from being able to take their own money out of their own bank accounts for the greater good of Greece. That is paraphrasing to steal the money in order that the oligarchs in Greece, the people that got Greece into this problem, can make money from stopping them from getting their own money. Are you with me? This is why I say to everyone that'll listen, do not bank. What if you have to bank? Do not bank. I need the bank to get my check cash. Good, cash your check, get your money out of the bank, do not bank. How do you live without banks? Go to themediaspeaks.com, look up how to live without banks. It's free. Merry Christmas. If not, then this kind of thing could happen. Here is a free warning from the correct views to you on why you should not bank. Below, writes the author, I have shared an excerpt from an article that details what capital economics believes would happen in the event that Greece leaves the European Union. The drachma would be back. That's their money. The euro would be effectively abandoned, which would be good because they should have never joined it. And Greece would return to the drachma, its previous currency, although it might have a new name. The drachma would likely tumble in value against the euro as soon as it was issued. That remains to be seen. And how the government could print quickly would be a big issue. I guarantee they know how to print money. I'm not that concerned about it. It would have to be fast, it says, and this is very important for everyone paying attention, and I hope that you are. With capital controls, there would be people trying to pull their money out of Greece's banks en masse. The Greek government would have to make that illegal pretty quickly. The European Central Bank drew up Grexit, that's Greece exit from the European Union, Grexit plans for 2012 and might be dusting them off to use again now. In other words, if you were a Greek citizen, you would be needing to pull your money out of your pronto because they are going to prevent you from taking your money out of the bank. And if you think that that can't happen here, well, I bet the people in Greece thought that it couldn't happen when it happened to Cyprus. Because the world, and they didn't listen to me. And guess what? Now they're in the same sinking ship. I am trying to warn all of you that are using the thinking part of your brain to not have your money in banks. They will prevent you from getting it out. Again, you put money in a bank, they will take the money when the country needs to and prevent you from getting what you have earned. And if you don't want that happening, then do not bank or you're part of the problem. Guys, this is dailystar.com.lb. German woman killed in Syria fighting ISIS. It says Syrian activists and Kurdish officials say a German woman fighting alongside Kurdish militiamen has been killed in a battle with the Islamic State group. They say Ivana Hoffman, a native of South Africa with German citizenship, was killed Saturday while fighting alongside Kurdish People's Protection Units known as YPG. YPG spokesman Nawaf Khalil on Monday said Hoffman was killed near the Syrian village of Tel Tamar. Hoffman was a member of the Marxist-Leninist Communist Party in Turkey. Serdar Sitar, president of the Kurdish Solution Party in Iraq, and the Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights also confirmed Hoffman's slaying. Hoffman is the third foreign national and the first female fighter known to be killed fighting with Kurdish forces against ISIS. God bless this woman. Again, you might have noticed in the description, ISIS invited, this mother went to the ISIS headquarters near where she was to find her son. ISIS invited her in and told her that after her long journey, they were going to feed her, give her something to drink, and then hook her up with her son again, reunite them. Well, they killed her son and fed her son to her before sending her out of the village. So this woman here is a hero. Anybody that is preventing these kinds of things from happening are absolute heroes and should be cherished in every way. Excuse me, I was dying of thirst. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. What is The Correct Views brought to you by? It's brought to you by Sticker Junkie. Sticker Junkie will make your stickers the way you want them. Give them a design. Let them know you heard about it from The Correct Views. Say, hey, David Lake heard about you from Sam. do me a favor, let him know you will get the best stickers you've ever imagined. Give him a rough ballpark of what you're looking for, and D-Lake will turn it into a masterpiece. Why? Because that's what Sticker Junkie does. So go to stickerjunkie.com, and when you order something from them, please let them know that you heard about it from the correct views, because they are on the side of liberty, and they've been supporting the show. They've been supporting Passing Time's Kickstarter program. Look up Passing Time Band Kickstarter. You've got 17 days to help. Look up Sticker Junkie as well, and you will be delighted that you did. Guys, Kit Daniels, PrisonPlanet.com. This is brought to you by the wonderful people at Change Transportation. Are you within a 50-mile radius of Canton, Ohio, maybe even a little greater than that? Good. Call your local cab company and ask them how much they're going to charge you to go from point A to point B. Then call Change Transportation. Change Transportation. You can find them on Facebook. Look them up and ask them to price match. You will be delighted that you did. Guys, feminists ignore woman violently gang raped during home invasion. Again, the feminists in this country are, as Rush says, the feminazis of the country. This is not your grandmother's feminism. This is divisionism, if you will, the causing of strife between the sexes where there was none. Despite routinely targeting men for fostering a rape culture, feminists are deathly silent about the brutal gang rape of a woman in her own home while her children were present. The victim, retired adult performer Cytherea, Cytherea, was at home with her family in Vegas, Nevada, when a gang of thugs reportedly kicked in her door, robbed the family at gunpoint, and proceeded to rape her. And although multiple news outlets carried the story, it received no attention from popular feminist blogs. Now, these are the feminists that say that you should never speak badly about someone being overweight. And again, I don't want anybody fat shamed. I don't want anybody picked on. I don't want anybody slandered. But to say, hey, you should lose some weight so that you don't die of a heart attack and you can raise your kids. That is not hate. So the feminists that would call this hateful are somehow now missing the actual hate and the actual rape that is happening. We covered on this show on the Dunce Cap of the Month Award just a week ago at the most. I think it was Wednesday night, about a college that was harassing a student because he looked like the man that raped a woman. He got hosed. He couldn't even go to certain sections of the school because of how he looked. When a real rape happens, crickets. There's no noise at all. It's like it never happened. Here you have a woman who's a real victim of a real rape and a real assault, and those same women who claim that they care about women's rights have done nothing, Mercedes Serrera stated, who started a charity for Cytherea. This is why I'm so pissed off at modern feminists. They claim to care about women, but when they actually women who need, what do? They don't care about anyone except themselves. But why is that? Why do feminists ignore the real rape victims like Cytherea to focus on rape hoaxes, such as the Rolling Stone University of Virginia controversy? Link to it if you don't know what it is. Because a modern feminist movement is not about protecting women, it's about subjugating men. Amen. Feminists don't care about rape victims, and they never have. Matt Forney of Return of Kings wrote, the rape culture narrative is driven by not by genuine concern for women who've been sexually assaulted, but by neurotic fear of young American women have of men and masculinity. Rape culture hysterics are driven purely by the narcissism and social retardation of the millennial generation. I agree half with that. I haven't seen the smart generation in my life, and I'm a Gen Yer. I think our country's been on the ass end of stupidity long before I was born, but I digress. Case in point, one feminist recently said that women shouldn't be allowed to carry concealed handguns on campus for protection because it devalues sexual assault, as if women should give up their right to self-defense for the feminist agenda. In other words, if you carry a gun to protect yourself, you are degrading women because you shouldn't have to carry a gun to protect yourself, because you shouldn't be raped by men. Therefore, no men should ever be rapists. And if one man is a rapist, then all men must be in favor of rape. Does it make sense to you? No, but that's feminism. The argument that guns could help turn the tide on campus sexual assaults implicitly devalues sexual assaults without physical force as part of the problem, she wrote for Vox. That makes no sense at all. It's a word, and the words in the sentence all make sense, but none of the definitions that she's applying to them have any logic in them at all. It's like the more she talks, the stupider she gets. Even more disturbing, Return of Kings Forney also pointed out that when his fellow writer Rush Valalizda posted a satirical article suggesting that legalizing rape on private property could end the rape culture, feminist writers at The Mirror, XO Jane, and Raw Story exploded in rage, but none of them even bothered to report on Cytherea's actual rape. So when there is a real problem happening, it doesn't matter. Let the woman go to hell and she can die. But if you compliment a girl and say, hey, you have a nice ass, you should go to hell and be burnt at the stake. And that's their view on it. And that would be the incorrect view. Friends, news.discovery.com, mummified monk sits inside ancient Buddhist statue. I'm covering this because I was lucky enough, as I said at the beginning of the show, to be at Holiday Valley. And I didn't get to do the Saturday edition because if I did, I wasn't going to be able to go on my trip. So many of you that tune into both this and that have missed news from the science front. Well, here you go. Researchers at the Drudge Museum in the Netherlands made a shocking discovery when they imaged an ancient Chinese statue and found a nearly 1,000-year-old mummy inside. Sitting in the lotus position, the mummy fits within the statue perfectly. On the outside, it looks like a large statue of Buddha, the museum said in the release. Scan research has shown that on the inside, it is the mummy of a Buddhist monk who lived around the year 1100. Glowing through the statue's golden cast, the human skeleton is believed to belong to Buddhist master Leoquin, a member of the Chinese meditation school. And Christelle left before her part was up, but you know what? That's to be expected. I try. To further investigate the mummy, the researchers took the statue to the Meander Medical Center in Amersfoort and carried out an endoscopy and additional CAT scans. They found out that Leoquin's internal organs had been removed. The mummified body hidden inside the Buddhist statue is sitting on a roll of cloth, Buddhism expert Eric Brugin told Discovery News. On this cloth are Chinese characters written in black ink, mentioning the name of a venerable monk, Leoquin, he added. According to Brugin, the name means 6 perfections. It refers to the virtues perfected by a being who seeks Buddhahood through a systemic practice of a 6 perfect value system, but renounces complete entry into nirvana until all beings are saved. In other words, he reaches nirvana but doesn't go there because he's waiting for everybody else. The museum speculates Leoquin may have self-mummified in order to become a living Buddha. And this is where religion becomes insanity, even in history. Practiced mainly in Japan, self-mummification was a grueling process that required a monk to follow a strict 1,000-day diet of nuts and seeds in order to strip the body of fat. The diet of bark and roots would follow for another 1,000 days. At the end of this period, the monk began drinking a poisonous tea made from the sap of the Japanese varnish tree because they had lost their mind, normally used to lacquer bowls and plates. The tea caused profuse vomiting, as well as a rapid loss of bodily fluids, possibly making the body too poisonous to be eaten by bacteria and insects. And again, you should love your life if you are a practitioner of any religion. That doesn't mean you care about your life more than anything, but it does mean that you have enough respect for God not to drink poisonous tree bark lacquer. A living skeleton, the monk was then placed in a stone tomb barely larger than his body, which was equipped with an air tube and a bell. Never moving from the lotus position, the monk would ring the bell each day to let those outside know that he was still alive. When the bell stopped ringing, the monk was presumed as dead and the air tube removed and the tomb sealed. After another 1,000 days, the tomb would be opened to check whether the monk had been successfully mummified. Of the hundreds of monks that tried this horrifying process because they had lost their minds, only a few dozen actually became self-mummified and venerated in temples of Buddha. They should be venerated in a nut house. Researchers aren't certain when or how this monk's organs were then removed. The Buddha statue is currently on display at the National Museum of Natural History in Budapest. It will remain there until May. Yeah, of course, ISIS, would want to burn it because, it's not their religion. And rather than just call it foolish, as I did, they refused to let you hear about it, and they would destroy it. And that brings us to the dum-dee of the day. School textbook, there's no such thing as reverse racism. This is another one of those bone-headed articles that make no sense whatsoever. They are trying to say that prejudice and racism are two different things, that all races can be prejudiced, but non-whites cannot be racist. That is boneheaded. That is stupidity, and that's why it's got the dumpty of the day. Listen to this. There's no such thing as reverse racism or reverse sexism or any reverse of any form of oppression. While women may be just as prejudiced as men, women cannot be just as sexist as men because they do not hold political, economic, and institutional power. Tell that to Hillary Clinton. Hillary, wench. A school textbook teaches students that there is no such thing as reverse racism and that women can never be as sexist as men. The idiotic, I might add, passage, which appears to be taken from the multicultural educational series book entitled Is Everyone Equal, states, quote, stop, and I read it to you. In a sense, the textbook is correct. There is no such thing as reverse racism. Racism is, in fact, racism, whether the target is white, black, or brown. However, that's not the message that's being communicated. The book is teaching students that only white people can be racist and only men can be sexist because patriarchy, and Twitter users reacted to the insanity. This is the kind of boneheadedness that we're getting with Common Core, friends. Our country just continues to get stupider and stupider. Rather than unifying all people against prejudices, they fill their heads with lies like this. This warped argument is also one repeatedly made by prominent social justice talking heads such as MSNBC's Michael Eric Dyson, who shouldn't even be on the air, who once argued that it is impossible for black people to be racist. That's also boneheaded. Dyson disapproved this claim on July 2013 when he said during a discussion on George Zimmerman that trial that Americans would not understand racism until white kids were being killed in the same numbers of blacks. White Americans and others will feel that this is a justifiable verdict. This is how things happen. Not until and unless the number of white kids die that approximate the numbers of black kids and other kids who die will America see, said Dyson. Failing to mention that, drum roll please, 94% of all black murder victims in the United States are killed by other black people. In other words, it is not most white people that are saying that black lives don't matter. I'm a white person, and I think all lives matter. Regardless of what color you are, nobody gets preference over anybody else. 94% of all black murder victims are not murdered by white people, Asian people, Indians, Canadians, Brazilians. No, they are murdered by other black people. Therefore, the problem is a problem of the heart and the problem of the mind, not a problem of the skin color. Friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. Gangi reporting or commentating, I should say, for the Media Speaks and signing off. Do me a favor. If you can donate to the show, please do. You can find me at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Every penny that you give to me does very much go towards a better show. Also, please donate to Passing Time Band's Kickstarter project. We have really big things afoot, and we're trying to make them happen, and none of those things could ever happen without you. Friends, also remember to look up the work of Mike McLaughlin. He's not a good writer, he's a great writer, and you can find him on Facebook.com. Mike McLaughlin, let him know you heard about him from Sam at The Correct Views. Good night, friends. God bless.